there, it's Melissa from Melissa Vining Creates, and welcome back to my channel. So I have another layout today for the Confessions of a Paper Addict cut files design team, and I'm using the Mirror cut file. So you can see here that it comes in 3 pieces. I've just cut it on close to my heart cardstock, and I've cut it twice so that I can glue the 2 files together, and then I'll have a more dimensioned cut file. So I'm just using my Tombow Mono, and I've got my craft mat down. Sorry about the glare, I'm filming this at night with my lights, and here I'm just lining them up and adhering them down. So you want to do what I did probably and just glue it bit by bit. If I were to put adhesive over the entire cut file, I'd probably stuff it up when it came to aligning it. So I'm wanting to use that gold glitter power paper by American Crafts in between the more ornate part of the mirror and the sort of the inner rim of the mirror. You'll see what I mean when I glue all the parts down. So once again, just using my Tombow. And the reason I use a craft mat is because this is quite a fine cut file and this is not a fine tipped glue, so I do go over the edge. And I just use a paper towel like I am there just to mop up the excess of glue. You can also use a piece of paper just to scrape away some of the excess glue as well. So I'm just trimming it out, and I will leave it to dry. There's no point with a really super fine cut file trying to trim out the cut file straight away. And I'm just using this, I think it's a Stampin' Up! Adhesive remover tool. It's really handy. I'm so glad I purchased it. I haven't used it for a long time, but in the making of my December daily, I had a lot of fine cut files because I reduced them down, and I just found it really helpful once it had dried to remove any of the adhesive that you can see on the cut file. It comes off really well with that rubber tool. And I think that tool is actually made to remove adhesive from photos, but it works on anything. So this was a bit more tricky to do. This is the inner part of the mirror, and I didn't show me gluing the 2 together because that was I was a bit nervous. I prefer to do it off camera. So here you can see that I've used that inner part as a template, and that's enabled me to position that really thin I guess inner rim of the mirror. And there I'm just using a piece of cardstock, like I said, a piece of paper. You use a cut or blunted end, and then you can just scrape away any excess adhesive as well. So you can see a bit of adhesive on the top right, but it dries quite clear. So now in the time that it's taken me to do all of that, and I did a bit off camera as well, I'm just trimming around the edge of the cut file. I'm using these Tim Holtz kind of precision slightly serrated scissors that have been made to be able to cut through adhesive, and they're really great. They still do need a clean. I just use methylated spirits on a piece of paper towel, and that's how I clean my scissors. And a tip for you, if you want to sharpen your scissors, you just cut tin foil, and the same thing works if you've got punches and you want to sharpen your punches. You just punch tin foil. So I've skipped ahead. I've cut out the inner part of that gold, so that's not so the gold is only really the frame of the mirror. And I forgot to say that I am using the Pink Paislee, and what collection is it? Auburn Lane. So last year before, I'm so confused now that it's a new year. So 2018, it was an autumn or fall collection. I haven't used it. I got it in a scrappery kit, and I haven't used it yet, so this is my first layout with it, and I love it. I wish I had discovered it earlier or used it earlier. So I've taken the inner part of the frame, excuse me, the mirror, and I've just traced around it, not very well, and now I'm placing all of these letters. And so I had this vision for this layout of putting all these letters down, and these are the type of thickers that you can customize yourself. They've got a fabric, kind of canvas fabric covering on them, and I'm putting them all down. They don't need any extra adhesive because they are so sticky. And what I imagined with this was, you know, when she looks into the mirror, you don't always know what's looking back at you. And so I didn't want any of these letters to make sense. But when I come to add my title, which is "You Are Enough," I want that to be what stands out. So that's kind of the vision I had. I also have to say that I am kind of playing along. Well, I am playing along. I shouldn't say kind of. I'm playing along with Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life. She has an ABC Scrappy challenge that's going all year, and A was for alphas. I've made one layout, so if you look on my Instagram, and my link is below, I did a long title layout, and then I also wanted to do a layout where you alter thickers and just to use them up, really. So this is a really, really old pack of thickers. I probably could still make titles with them, but I decided no, I'm going to use them up in one go. So here I'm using some gesso, and that's just to make them white and tone them down and get them ready for some mixed media. So I'm by no means a mixed media expert. I've just been loving playing along lately with the products that I'm getting in my hip kit, which is Lindy's Gang shakers, and the ones that I'm about to use, let me just check what they're called. They are magical powders, I guess. So yeah, so while that gesso is drying, and I did use my heat tool to help it along, I am putting some craft foam on the reverse side of the mirror so I can lift it up, and my intention is to position it on top of those letters. So here I'm adding some Holy Swap Colour Shine in gold, and I always love gold splatters or white splatters on a wood grain background. So I'm trying to do them around the edge, because obviously when I place the mirror down, it's going to cover that sort of more central part of the page. And I'm getting to the end of this bottle now, and it can be quite watery. So the tip is to use a paper towel at the corner and just soak up some of the watery part, and then you're left with the really gold shimmery pretty splatters. So then I wanted to add some pattern paper behind my photo. These are what come in the Scrappery kit. The Scrappery is no longer, so you can't get this kit anymore, but I've still got lots left over. And so this was like the Pocket Life or Pocket Scrapbooking kit, and the owner of the kit just cut the papers down into cards. So I'm wanting to use some of the larger, I think the 4x6 papers, and just find something to back my photo. So that's the one I go for there. It's really, really pretty. Definitely going to have to use that paper and layout as well. I'm just wanting something behind my photo. The photo was taken by my husband. He's got the latest iPhone, and the quality of photos is just outstanding. It makes you want to upgrade your phone just to get the new camera. Okay, so I decided that one paper behind that photo was enough, and here I've got the Lindy's magical powders, and I'm just using my silhouette tool just to put some of the powder down. The shaker is quite good too, because you can literally shake them out like you're, I don't know, sprinkling icing sugar or chocolate. So I am using two of them. Let me just grab them. I'm using the Teapot Purple and Ramblin' Rose Pink, and then I have no big brushes left because my children have used them and lost them. So I'm using a foam brush, which actually worked really well because you can squeeze the water out of it. And so the thing with these magicals is when you add the powder, they become magic. And now you can see why I've added so much gesso, because I'm adding a lot of water to get these to mix. And so I'm so happy with how this turns out, because I'm really new to mixed media. I mean, I've been dabbling in it for years, but I never probably go to this extent with mixed media, and I'm loving it, and I'm definitely keen to try more. So yeah, add a lot of water, letting it drip down, letting it drip through, and where those powders are quite saturated, I'm wanting to get my brush in there and really spread them out. And they have a beautiful shimmer to them when they dry, and when this dries, it's actually quite subtle, which is good because I didn't want it to take over from the mirror, the words, or from the photo. So I used my heat gun, but it wasn't enough. I left this overnight and it still wasn't enough. It was really wet on the back, and so what I did was put it in our hot water cupboard and left it there for a few more hours, like a morning, and then it dried. So now I'm trimming this off the background paper, just cardstock. And in retrospect, I would have used watercolour paper, I think, because it would have been heavier, but it's fine. I also forgot to say that I put an iris container with my hip kit. I just sat it on top of it, and it dried flat, or it pressed it flat because it was quite warped. I probably should have trimmed out a bit more in that area there, but I didn't. I can see it when I'm looking at it, but I don't think anyone's going to look at the layout and go, oh, you can see a bit of overhang. So anyway, yeah. So you can see what I mean by quite subtle. You can still see the letters. You can see sort of the purpley blues and pinks and reds, and you can see a variance in saturation of colour, and that's how I wanted it. So at this point it's reminding me of an Easter egg because of the oval shape, and as I was making this I was hoping it was going to work, so I was really happy that it did. So I think I've cut out some of me holding it down, but well, maybe not. Yeah, I had to hold it down a bit because it was a bit warped, and that Tombow is quick drying, but it's not instant. So maybe I would have done a hot glue gun if I'd used a hot glue gun if I'd done this again. And same with this bit here. Actually, this is the bit where I put the iris container on top, because I felt that the foam was not gluing to those letters very well, but in the end it has. So yeah. So now this is after I've put the iris container on it, and I was really happy with it. And so because there's so much dimension already, I think I need to add 3 layers of craft foam against the pattern paper and 1 or 2 against the mirror. And that's just to raise it up. Or maybe it was 2 in 1. Anyway, you get what I mean. So I wanted my photo to sit above the mirror because I knew I wanted to embellish under and around my photo. So I am using the little stickers that come with this collection, and I think you get gold and copper ones, and I'm going with the gold because I've used a gold frame or inner part of the frame and gold splatters. So I thought about different titles for this. I thought about You Are Beautiful, You Are Strong, but I decided that for a nearly 11-year-old girl or 10-and-a-half-year-old girl, You Are Enough is actually a really good title for her. So like I said earlier, the whole vision or goal with this layout, or what I imagined in my head, was that there's a photo of her. She would look in the mirror, and instead of seeing all the other jumbled up stuff that might be in her head, she would see the words You Are Enough. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So that little pearl with a bow is kind of metallic, and that's from the Pretty Little Pieces kit that comes with the Scrappery kit. It's like exclusive to each kit, so if you were to get all 3 kits for the month, you'd end up with 3 little packets, and this happened to be in one of them, and I thought it was so beautiful and delicate, but also strong like her. And yeah, so now I'm just gluing that little tab on, and what you don't see is me writing the date on that. And now I'm just wanting to embellish, so I'm not wanting to add too much. The mirror and all the work I did in the background of the mirror is really the feature of this layout, but without any more embellishment. It's definitely plain and needs something else. So I've added that beautiful heart from the ephemera pack. I pulled some bits and pieces out that you can see to the left that I thought I might want to use. That's a little vase or jar of flowers, which I thought was really sweet. It's a die cut as well. It is going to go where I've placed it. And then what else have I got? Oh, so there's a floral pack. Pink Paislee does a lot of these. Most of their collections, I think, have these floral packs, and definitely Paige Evans ones do. And so I use some of the bigger clusters like that one at the top there, and then there are smaller flowers, and then like that, I don't know what you'd call that, but I just placed. It's like a, I don't know, it's like a, not a wreath, but like a line of flowers. And then there's also these beautiful vellum gold flowers, and there's a speciality paper that has the gold vellum flowers, but I was going to cut them, and I thought, no, let's just use what is already there, because by this point I felt like I'd spent so long on this layout, which I had, doing all the background work. So just adhering things down. I think I used some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals behind some parts of these flowers, including the vellum ones. I just placed them, the tiny little hexagon ones, in the gold parts where you can't see them. And then the sticker sheet has these kind of coppery gold hearts, and I thought they were perfect as well. And now I'm wanting to add my journaling. So I'm using a sticker, and I'm using it upside down because I wanted the floral part to be on the left. So you'd never know unless you had the collection. And adding some glue on top of, behind that sticker as well, because I'm aware that it's got to sit on top of all that mixed media. So yeah, I did think about adding sequins or enamel dots, but I decided that sometimes less is better than too much. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this process. It's different for me and I really had fun making it. And I will be back again really, really soon for another layout. Thanks for watching.